something fascinating to observe is I was at a word-of-mouth marketing conference a couple of weeks ago, and it reminded me when Raji came in today, and by the way, all three of these gents got off a very long airplane flight to get here, and we were joking around, and when we had a call last week, I said, well, don't worry, I'll have the coffee ready for you. And you know there's a difference because they said, no, just bring the Red Bull. So I'm coffee, they're Red Bull. So what's interesting, though, is you're at the TwitterCon, and you said everybody's buzzing. Everybody's using the tool. Everybody's saying how cool it is. And you come here, and there's resistance, did you say? Is that a nice word? Some limited acceptance? So, you know, I hear a lot of words floating around, like word of mouth, engagement. I think even the Loyalty Expo people are talking about an engagement conference. And you have another word that you like to use, participatory. But how do all these things fit together? How should we view marketing going forward?
So a traditional means of reaching consumers are going to be less and less effective with this new generation. Why is that? As Bjorn and Atle said, they are adept at filtering things out. And every day there is new technology invented to opt things and topics out of people's lives. So you think about direct mail was really impossible to get rid of until we had the do not call, and we still get direct mail. We had telemarketing was impossible to get rid of until we had the do not call. Now you can skip ads on TV by using TiVo. You can opt out of email programs, and you think about social media, you can be unfriended or you can be unfollowed in a heartbeat. So it's becoming easier and easier. So how do you get to keep their attention? The answer is participation. And as traditional marketers, most of us are not equipped with the metrics or the technology to measure participation. We measure transactions, which usually is conversion, but what is the process? How do we start measuring the middle of the funnel, which is what's going to be more and more important when you're dealing with this universe? So they have a community. Yesterday I was talking to a friend of mine. He said his stepdaughter, actually, he asked her, how many friends do you have? And she said, yeah, I've got 600. And George goes, you can't have 600 friends. He said, yeah, I have 600 friends on Facebook. And how many friends do you have in real? Well, they're all my real friends. That's how connected this generation is, and that's how they feel. They are used to knowing everything intimately, getting information, filtering out the things that they don't want. So unless you engage them by being authentic and providing the information, putting a clear value proposition and delivering on it, because if you don't deliver, they're going to find out, and they're going to make it nasty. They're going to Twitter about it, they're going to put it on Facebook, and their friends are going to know. And you all know how powerful word-of-mouth marketing is, so your brand reputation get tarnished in very short order.
So it raises a really good question that I'd pose to Atle, working with a group like he has for many years, is can we set an expectation of building loyalty with this group? Or given the fact that they have all the information, they compare, and they dictate their behavior many times on recommendations from friends. How does a brand stay in the frame for a longer period of time, and can we?
I think it's a really, really good question. It's kind of a scary thought. We hear other panelists and definitely other marketers talk about how they're so flaky and it's back and forth and all these new technologies, and we're starting to understand one and then another one comes up, which is kind of frustrating. Yes, we can build loyalty. We just have to ask ourselves a very, very key question: why are they not loyal? A lot of companies aren't innovative enough to keep up with this demographic. It's just a fact. We have to keep innovating. We have to keep understanding this demographic. I think a couple of good examples is how Facebook has created this following that's just utterly outstanding. We do a lot of focus groups and a lot of surveys, and we find that of our customer base, which is fairly large for a small segment, 85% of our users have Facebook. And when we get quotes like every student, what they do in the morning is they get up, they check their email and Facebook. That's loyalty. It's what they do. That's where they talk to friends. That's, in many cases, actually a substitution for email right now. I don't check my email, my parents' email. I Facebook. That's where it's going, and that kind of loyalty you can only expect from, to my previous point, a service that actually knows how to talk to these guys. Pictures, comments, ratings are more important than a fancy inbox. It's just social elements, and that's where social media really comes into play. It's that you need to understand what's important to them. And if you can solve that, it doesn't really matter how your service looks or what the name is or how fancy the glossy logo is. It's what you deliver in terms of the value. I'm certainly not suggesting that we're really good at it. We have a long way to go. But we have a fairly high, compared to industry standard, level of returning customers because we've put a lot of these marketing vehicles and initiatives in place to make sure that our customers come back and that our customers are happy. Everything from reviews and ratings to performance reviews in terms of surveys to constant interaction. And then to Raji's point, the days of push marketing in the old way, those are absolutely over. They need to be in control of when they receive what, and they need to be in total control of what that looks like. I'm not going to drag it out, but a good example is where people used to go to a website, and let's stay in the travel business since that's what we're in, where people used to go to a website and search one website and get one set of results. You now see meta search sites, which we've seen for a while, but it's a perfect example of what people expect. Kayak, for example, now searches hundreds of sites, whereas the old type of travel site would just search one site. That's just the way things are going. We expect more, and we expect it to be free, and we expect it to be fast.
So it raises a question, too, about how we market ourselves online, because a comment that I heard from somebody recently was that the new homepage for most brands is their Google page, and it's your Google results that, in effect, either put you in front of a lot of people quickly and build credibility with the group, or else you're just not in that frame. So would you guys agree that probably there has to be a little bit more focus on just search engine optimization and working with Google and the other search engines to get more presence?
I want to say there has to be a focus on listening. And that is, starts with Google, of course. You should be Googling your brand and seeing what the results are. But there are platforms like Radian6 or Symphony now that will tell you what's going on in the social media world about what's being spoken about your brand. And listening is something that marketers traditionally are not used to doing. So there are no tools. There's no marketing. Is all about what can I create and how can I push it out, and what can I look at to see whether it's working. This whole inbound marketing concept and listening is what we need to get religion about, because if you don't, your marketing is going to become very less effective. And marketers are getting a rude awakening because they're not used to being spoken to. So now you wake up and all of a sudden you realize that you have to listen to these consumers, and there's no way around it.
I also just want to add that Google and social media, they're just two different types of marketing vehicles. Google is, or a percentage of Google is, a completely commerce-driven platform. I mean, you go to Google to buy products, so Google will always deliver results in a way that social media will never. I mean, you don't go to Facebook to buy products, you don't go to your Twitter account to buy products, but you do go to Google to buy products. So I don't think we can ever expect the same out of them. We have to find other and new ways to be relevant in those spaces as well. Mm-hmm.